Okay, so first thing on your calculator is you go to the mode, okay? In the directions, okay, you've got to pay attention because the author's not going to say it. The author's going to show you that you're in degrees. Okay, so on your mode, okay, probably when you first turn on your mode, the default is all the first ones are highlighted. Okay, so you've got to go down to degrees and press enter. The only way that changes is to press enter. So make enough notes out at the side that you check the mode. If it's a key, I usually circle it. I don't care. You make your own notes. And we got to go to degrees. Okay. The other thing the author is showing you is how to round. Okay, round to 4 decimal places. Now I've got 5 problems where I'm rounding actually more than that. So it's okay for me to go down. The floating decimal shows you all the decimal places. So I'm going to do a few with 4 decimal places. So I'm going to let the calculator do the rounding. So I'm going to go to 4 and press enter. So you may go from, instead of floating, you want to go to 4 and highlight that. Okay? Okay? Okay, then on the calculator, okay, we've got sine, cosine, and tangent. Look right above there. There's inverse sine. It says sine to the -1, but we read it inverse sine. I will tell you right now, that is not the reciprocal of sine. Okay? Inverse sine is not cosecant. We will get to that, but that's not the reciprocal. Okay, so we're in degrees. We're at 4 decimal places. Just type in sine of 34. On some of the scientific calculators, you actually put in the 34 first, and then you hit sine. Like if we had the old TI 30s, it might be that way. Okay, and then write down the correct answer. Okay, 0.5592. Okay. Did I need the parentheses to get the right answer? Here's how you know. And remember, you can repeat the line up above if you do second function entry. So do second function entry. It's right above the enter key. If I put in the parentheses, did that parentheses at the end on this one make any difference? No. So it's an extra keystroke. I didn't have to put it in. Okay, so do cosine of 36.9. Okay, and I get 0.7997. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, degrees, minutes, and seconds. So do sine of 34 degrees, 20 minutes. Okay, so do sine of 34, and my degrees is under second function angle. It's right above the apps key, so second function angle, and pick up the degrees, and then 20 and second function angle, and pick up the minutes. Okay, and then go ahead and press enter. If I had seconds, remember the seconds are under the alpha, the green alpha key, and above the plus sign, but we don't have any on this one. So 0.5640. Okay, everybody getting it to work? Okay, let's do cosine of 4810. So cosine 48, and then pick up second function angle, pick up the degrees, and 10 second function angle, pick up the minutes, and I get 0.6670. By the way, those zeros are important because it asks for 4 decimal places. Yes, you want to show the zeros. Okay, so tangent of 15, do second function angle, pick up the degrees, 23 second function angle, pick up the minutes, and I get 0.27. And by the way, take time when you're doing the test. Don't make the error going from here to the paper. We're all human. I'm going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. But don't transpose the numbers. Okay? Try to take it right from the calculator to the paper. Okay? And you can always go back and check it if you have extra time. Okay? Now, here's where the author's not going to tell you. You just have to know okay, and I drew a little separator here. You have to know that now it's in terms of pi. I changed the mode, okay? So on your mode, if it's in terms of pi, you know you have to go to radians. And there's still 4 decimal places, okay? You can always clear these out too. There's a clear key here. If you don't want to see all that, you can clean it up a little bit. Okay, so go to mode and go down to radians. On the test, you are going to go back and forth, and the author's not going to tell you which one's which. You just have to know if it's pi, it's in terms of radian. Degrees, they will have a degree symbol. Okay, so sine. Now, on this, there is a pi key. It's right above the caret symbol on your calculator. It's above, this is the caret symbol, okay, on the calculator. So it's above that. So you're going to do second function in the pi. It will actually show up on the screen. Divided by 9. Should look like that. Okay? Okay? And I get 0.3420. Okay with that one? Everybody okay with that one? Okay, then cosine. Cosine of pi over 9. So cosine. And then do second function pi divided by 9. Do I need that parentheses? Do second function, enter, go back, delete it. I don't have to have that right parentheses on that one. Okay, 0.9397. Okay, sine of pi over 5. Sine. Second function pi divided by 5. I get 0.5878. How are we doing? Doing okay? Okay. Okay, now tangent. Now, notice this is 8 pi. Does the calculator understand it without a time sign in between? Yes. Okay. So do tangent 8 pi divided by 9. Should get a negative. Okay, now, why is that answer negative? What quadrant is 8 pi over 9 in? 9 pi over 9 would be pi. That'd be like 180 degrees. Back it off a little bit. We're in quadrant 2. So this is in quadrant 2. Tangent in quadrant 2 is negative. So the reason that's negative is because we're in quadrant 2. Okay? Okay? So you were okay on this one. You may want to write it down. It's okay. You don't need the time sign. We just did tangent 8 pi divided by 9. Okay? And that was okay. It understood that without doing a time sign. Okay, now there's a little separator. And notice we are back. We are back in degrees. Okay? So clear that out. Check your mode. Go back to degrees. Okay? Now, on this one I usually write this out. Cotangent is a reciprocal with tangent. Okay, so it's like cotangent of 9 degrees is the same as 1 over the tangent of 9 degrees. Okay, so there's 2 ways to put this in. Okay, first way is to just do tangent of 9. So first check your mode. We're in degrees. Do tangent of 9 and go ahead and press enter. Now, to get that down to the bottom, use this x to the negative 1 key. That is called the reciprocal key. Okay? They don't usually read it x to the negative 1 key. They call it the reciprocal key. So that will put it down. So press enter, press x to the negative 1 and enter. Okay? And your final answer should be 6.3138. So, one way to do this is to do tangent of 9, press enter, and then do the x to the negative 1 key, the reciprocal key, and get your answer. Okay, but I can shortcut that if I do tangent of 9, okay, tangent of 9, close the parentheses, and then do the x to the negative 1 key. Press enter. Got the same answer. So, here's your OR. you can do tangent 9, close the parentheses, then the x to the negative 1 key, and that does it all in one step. Does it make a difference if I take that out? Yes. So I would highlight, star, do something. You've got to have that. You've got to have the right parentheses in there. So if you're finding the value of the function, if you know the angle, you're finding the value of the function, you got to have that right parentheses in there. Okay? Okay, let's do cotangent of 9 degrees 40 minutes. So do tangent of 9, pick up the angle, second function angle, degrees, 40 minutes, second function angle, pick up the minutes, close the parentheses. That's the critical part of this. You close the parentheses, and then the x to the negative 1. Okay, final answer should be 5.8708. Okay, now the next one. Critical part is that you get the right reciprocal function. Cosecant is a reciprocal with sine. So do sine of 68, close the parentheses, then the x to the negative 1 key. 1.0785. Okay, so it's sine of 68, close the parentheses, and then the x to the negative 1 key. And this part is critical. You got to have that parentheses. Secants are reciprocal with cosine. Okay, so you want to do cosine of 25, and then the x to the negative 1 key to put it down in the denominator. So we'd have cosine of 25, close the parentheses, the x to the negative 1, and 1.1034. Everybody doing okay? Okay, and the last one, cosecant, reciprocal with sine. So sine of 36.2, close the parentheses, x to the negative 1 key, puts it down in the denominator. Should get 1.6932. Okay. Okay, now we're still on this. I'm put a little separator here. We're still figuring. We've got the angle. We want to figure the value of the function, but the difference is we're in radians. Okay, so clear that out. Check your mode. Got to go to radians. Make sure you press enter for that to register. Secants are reciprocal with cosine. Okay, so we're going to do cosine of pi divided by 12, close the parentheses, and then the x to the negative 1 key. Okay, so cosine of pi divided by 12, close the parentheses, and then the x to the negative 1 key. Okay, and I get 1.0353. Cosecant is a reciprocal with sine. If you want to do sine, and it's negative 5 pi divided by 6, close the parentheses, and then the x to the negative 1 key. So it's sine, negative. Now make sure on this when you're doing this, look at the difference up here. Here's the negative, here's the minus. Okay? And there's a delete key up here. So. Okay, so negative is the short key. Sometimes that will give you a syntax error, and the author's telling you press the wrong, or the calculator's telling you press the wrong button. So, and it's 5 pi divided by 6, close the parentheses, and then the x to the negative 1. Now, do I need all those zeros? Yes, because it asks for 4 decimal places. So in the rounding, yes, you should show them all. Okay? Okay? Okay, everything up to that point. We knew the angles. We did not know the value of the function. Okay, now, little separator here, we're going from, we know the value of the function, we don't know the angle. Okay? Okay? On this, directions tell us what mode to be in and where to round it. Okay? So mode is in degrees, and we're going to round those to 1 decimal place. So change it to 1 decimal place. Now, notice on this it says find the angle from our angle theta is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so they're going from 0 to 360. Okay, and they're in degrees. So the mode is degrees, nearest tenth. But now we've got 2 answers. Okay, what controls your answers, and if you have a highlighter or at least circle it, is you look in front and say it's positive. Okay, if this is positive, then you have to look at cosine is positive in what 2 quadrants? 1 and 4. Okay, so my 2 answers have to be 1 in quadrant 1, 1 in quadrant 4. Okay. Now the difference here is you know the value of the function, you don't know the theta. Okay. So check my mode. Yep, we're right. Okay, so if you don't know, the only time you use inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tangent is if you don't know the angle. Okay? So look above the cosine. Inverse cosine. We don't know the angle, so you do second function cosine. That's inverse cosine of 0.4120. Okay, and press enter. 65.7, and that's in quadrant 1, so that satisfies quadrant 1. Now you may want to turn your paper over and draw these pictures on the back. Okay, so this is for number 17. Okay, the first answer was in quadrant 1. That was 65.7. Okay, we said the other place that cosine is positive is quadrant 4. So you draw an angle around into quadrant 4. Just a sketch. Remember, the perpendicular always goes back to the x-axis. Okay, and this reference angle is 65.7. That's not the answer. The answer I want is what's this angle. How can I figure that if I already have the 65.7 on my calculator? What's all the way around? 360. Yep. So if I take 360 minus, okay, what's already on my calculator, so do second function answer. So do second function answer. That just fills in the 65.7, and I get 294.3. Okay, so this angle is 294.3. Okay, great. So go back up here. 294.3 is my other answer. And if you want to put a note, how did you figure it? We did 360 minus second function answer. Or you can just type in 360 minus that. You're better off to do the second function answer, because even though we're not seeing all those decimals, they're still there. Okay? Okay, next problem. You look at, this is what controls your answers, is the SIGN. There's no sign there, so it's positive. Then you have to say tangent is positive in what quadrants? 3 and 1. Okay? Okay, now you know the value of the function. You don't know the angle. When you don't know the angle, that's when you do inverse. So do inverse tangent, second function tangent. Inverse tangent of 0.9057. I get 42.2. That takes care of quadrant 1. Okay, the other one is in quadrant 3. Okay, so this is for number 18. Draw the picture. Quadrant 1 was 42.2. Okay, the other one was in quadrant 3. So you draw a picture all the way around. You start on the positive side, go all the way around to quadrant 3. It's just a sketch. Remember, the perpendicular always goes back to the x. It won't ever come back to the y. Okay, this is my reference angle, 42.2. What I need to figure is the angle that gets me all the way over to this terminal side. What's this much? 180. So, to get it on the calculator, what do I have to do? Just add 180, right? 42.2 is already on there, so add 180. 222.2. Go back, 222.2. Okay, now let's say I'm doing this on the test and I'm going, okay, I want to know, am I close to that? Is that 222.2 close? Okay, first, you guys don't have to do this. I'm just watch. Okay, if I was doing this, the first thing I would do is I would go back to 4 decimal places and I would substitute 222.2 in for theta. So I would check tangent at 222.2. Okay, is it close? Yes, it's not exact because I rounded my answers. Okay, I could check tangent of 42.2. Is it close to 0.9057? Yeah, I'd get 0.9067, but it's close.
So why did we add
because I got to get to quadrant 3. Okay, I'm down in this quadrant 3, so I have to add. I got to add this plus the 42.2 to get to there. Okay. 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 Let's try another one. Let's go back up to number 19. Okay. What you have to look at is this part right here. Sine is negative in what quadrants? 3 and 4. Okay? Okay, so you know the value of the function, you don't know the angle. That's when you do inverse sine, is when you don't know the angle. Negative 0.9681. That's not an answer. Okay? My answer has to be positive between 0 and 360. The calculator says negative 75. Okay, so we draw the picture on number 19. The calculator throws us off a little bit. It actually starts here and goes down a negative. This would be, but the negative just indicates the direction. The angle inside is still positive, 75 point. If I rounded that back, hang on, I need to change mine back to 1 decimal place. Okay, so I end up with 75.5 if I round it, right? Is that what you guys got? Okay, now that's not the answer. The answer is in quadrant 4, so you got to go from here, positive side of the x-axis, all the way over to here. So on my calculator still has the negative sign on it. How can I find that answer? Add 360, right? So just add 360. I get 284. So that's my quadrant 4 answer. I get 284.5. Okay, so that is 284.5 for that answer. Okay. Now I need the answer for quadrant 3. Okay, so draw the picture for quadrant 3. Okay, so go over into quadrant 3. Draw the sketch. Perpendicular goes back to the x. This is my 75.5. Now how can I figure that whole answer? 180 plus. Yeah, so I'm going to have to do 180 plus 75.5. I get 255.5. So this angle's 255.5. That whole thing. That'll get me over into quadrant 3. 255.5. And again, you could go back, substitute those in, and it will be close to, if you figured the sine of 255.5, it's going to be close to negative 0.9681. It won't be exact because we rounded them. Okay? Everybody okay with those 3? Okay, now, reciprocals. Okay? Same thing, we know the value of the function. What we don't know is the angle. Critical that you get the right reciprocal. Cosecant is a reciprocal with sine. Okay? Okay. So, inverse sine. I didn't say which quadrants. Which quadrants? It's positive 1 and 2. So my answers are in 1 and 2. Okay, so inverse sine of 3.1790. Ooh, it's a reciprocal. Reciprocal, you got to use the x to the negative 1. Up above, we had to close the parentheses, and the x to the negative 1 had to be on the outside. Here it's got to be on the inside. Okay? Okay, and you get 18.3. That's my quadrant 1. Okay, let me show you. If I did that same thing, and if I did this, if I close the parentheses, put the reciprocal on the outside, does it make a difference? Yeah, it gives me an error. Okay? Okay? So then you know to go back, take that out, and get the 18.3. Okay, now we need our other answer in quadrant 2. We should be able to draw it right beside here. So quadrant 2, if this is my 18.3, what I need to figure is what's this angle. How can I figure that? So 180 minus my answer, second function answer, and I get 161.7. No. Oh no. Okay, secant. Secant, the critical part is it's positive. Positive in what quadrants? 1 and 4. Secant is a reciprocal with cosine, so inverse cosine of 1.8039. The x to the negative 1 has to go on the inside. 56.3. Okay, that's my quadrant 1. If I do quadrant 4, I'm down here, 56.3, and I want to figure this angle that gets me there. So 360 minus that answer, and I get 303.7. Okay with figuring those? Okay, cotangent. Cotangent is negative in what quadrants? 2 and 4. Every time you should be going through a smart trig class. That helps you remember those. Okay, so we want our answers in 2 and 4. Okay, so cotangent is a reciprocal with tangent. And we don't know the angle. When you don't know the angle, that's when you do the inverse tangent. And negative 2.3456. And it's a reciprocal. It's got to go on the inside. Wouldn't you know it? The calculator would do that to you. Wouldn't it be nice if they handled everything? But they didn't. Okay, so that's putting you down. It gives you a negative 23. But that's not in our range. Our range has to be positive. Okay? So this is the 23.1. And you got to figure this angle. So just add 360 on the calculator because it's already got the negative. Add 360. I get 336, and that's actually the quadrant 4. 336.9. Now I need the quadrant 2. So this is my reference angle is 23.1, and I need this one. So 180 minus 23.1. I get 156.9. Okay. So, a couple things about that bottom part. Okay, we did it. Did you make a note or enough that you remember it 5 years from now? The SIGN controls what quadrant you're in. The positive or negative sign controls what quadrant you're in. And you may even want to draw a little A Smart Trig class around there so you remember. Okay, and if you know the value of the function and you don't know the angle, That's when you do inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tangent. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay, now, I need you to open your books up